Welcome to the Diva Deets, the ultimate podcast for women over 40 who are ready to take control of their health, ditch the diets, and lose weight for good. I'm your host and coach, Danya Powers, and let's be real. You've done everything in the gym. You have hit the weights. You've done the food, clean eating, drinking all the water, getting all the steps. But nothing feels more discouraging than jumping on the scale and seeing the exact same number, or even little upticks that go back down to that same number. That stuck feeling. That's what we're going to talk about today. It's called a plateau. You've probably heard of that. And if you're in one right now, I just want you to know that you're not broken. You are literally not failing and you are not lazy at all. But I want to take you through step by step why plateaus happen and what your body's actually doing during that stall. So the tactical strategies that you can use to break through them are really simple. And, just as important, we're also going to talk about how not to lose your mind or just even give up during that when the scale isn't moving. So let me tell you about a client of mine. We call her Helen. She wants to remain anonymous, so we will keep her name Helen. Helen is my, Helen, person that I talk to, even though I'm not really talking to her. But anyway, when she started, she lost almost 10 pounds. I mean, she was doing everything super consistent. She lost almost 10 pounds. Clothes got looser. She felt great. She had tons of energy, eating the same foods, doing the same workouts. And then at every check-in, she just said it's starting to feel like Groundhog Day. It's starting to feel like Groundhog Day, just on repeat. And she said, her words to me were, why am I even trying if it's not working anymore? Does that sound familiar to you? Because that's the emotional side of a plateau. And that is when most women will throw in the towel. That is when they quit. And here's the truth. A plateau isn't your body saying this will never work again. It is your body saying, I've adapted. Now give me a new game plan. The human body is amazingly adaptive. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. That is what helps us, adapt to new relationships. Because, think about it like when you first get married. Brian's about to get married, so we're going to talk about getting married, right? When you first get married, there's an entirely new schedule, new getting used to people, and you are adapting. You're adapting to having someone, in your bed if you guys weren't living together before, whatever. You're adapting to, now what's in my fridge? What is this in my fridge? You're adapting to all of those things. The human body is very, very adaptive. That is true for every piece of you. Every cell in your body is incredibly adaptive. So let's talk about what's really going on. First and foremost, you have a metabolism. Your metabolism is also adaptive. It is called metabolic adaptation. And when you start eating in a small deficit, which is what we do when we're over 40, we do not cut like 900 calories out of a day. We're going to the calories that are on our TDEE, which if you don't know what that is, go to TDEecalculator.net and figure out what it is. Make sure that you put it, if you're getting at least 6,000 steps pretty much 4 days out of the week, put that you're at least moderately active. If you're getting under 6, like maybe 3,000 steps, you could put that you're lightly active, but most people are at least moderately active. That small deficit is like maybe a couple hundred calories. We're not doing a ton of deficit there. So you're eating in a small deficit. You are lifting weights at least 3 to 4 times a week. You are fueling your body properly with enough protein. You're getting carbohydrates, you're getting fats, and the body responds by burning fat. And, with recomp, it is mostly fat. When you do a crash diet, it's mostly water and glycogen, which is muscle, part of your muscle. It's the sugar that stores in your muscle for energy. So what most women don't realize is that, their body's just really smart. That's all it is. It really is smart. And so over time, it's just going to adjust to that lower intake. You do something, it adjusts. You do something, it adjusts. It's like anything else. How when you first started working out, it felt really, really hard. And then you're like, this chest press is not too bad. Or like today, I don't even know why my coach programs push-ups. He knows how much I hate them. But I was doing push-ups today and I was like, I feel good doing my push-ups again. After this hysterectomy, it's taken me a while to build that muscle back up. So not that push-ups are ever my favorite. So please don't program the Coach T. If you are watching this, that's not what I'm asking for. But you are doing that strength training and you're feeling good doing it. Your body has adapted. It has adapted. It has grown the muscle for that work because I consistently do it. So it has adapted. It's going to do that with everything that you do. So it's not, you just have to think like it's not a metabolism crash. And that's a lot of what diet culture teaches you. Well, This is not working for your metabolism. If you're adapting, that's not the same thing. A metabolic crash and metabolic adaptation are not the same thing. So remember that as we walk through this. A study that I was reading recently, I'm super nerdy, so I read a lot of studies, and I also get a lot of. I have like 19 different certifications because I like learning about this because I want to make sure that I'm serving my ladies as best as I can. But one of the studies that I read recently was following women in a structured training program, and they saw about a 59 calorie dip after 16 weeks. And at the same time, during that, they actually gained lean muscle. So what does that mean? That means your metabolism is still alive and well, just like theirs was. It's just gotten more efficient. So even with that dip, they still were able to maintain and gain more lean mass. So that's why body recomposition works. You're not chasing constant calorie cuts. You're building muscle. You are protecting your metabolism with building muscle, eating protein, and creating a body that just ultimately burns more over time, period. You are looking at those, athletes around you like they can eat anything. We're creating a body where you feel good like that. Maybe you can't sit around and drink wine all day, but you still have a body that does what it needs to do because you're doing all the things to protect your metabolism. So when you hit a plateau, the answer to everything is not to just slash the calories into nothing. And that is what every diet industry people, that's what they all teach you. Somebody added me to their Facebook group this week, and it was somebody selling peptides. And I'm like, dear God, if you have not followed me long enough to know not to add me to your stupid peptide group, listen, she was selling some product that was liquid peptides. You activate GLP-1 by chewing food, by chewing steak, by chewing beef jerky, by chewing chicken. You activate GLP-1. So I'm not going to buy a liquid version of something that's going to promise me weight loss. Do people lose weight when they take that stuff? Sure, while they're taking it, because it's filling a gap in their stomach. It's filling volume. So now you're not going to eat as much food. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe there is a little bit of peptides in it or whatever. But that's the thing right now. That's Ozempic. So all these companies are cashing in on that. Please run away from those things. So you don't want to eat less. You don't want to eat less. If you are making small adjustments all along the way, you're tightening up your consistency, or you're even spending a short period of time at your maintenance calories just to see what happens. It may be time for you to be on maintenance just to see what happens, so that your metabolism can reset. Sometimes you just need to give it time to heal. Maybe you actually had like a sinus infection or something. You need to pull your calories back up so your body can heal from that. And then maybe we can go back into a little bit of a deficit, but guess what? You'll be stronger because you're going to have eaten to support the muscle at that maintenance level. Does that make sense? It's kind of like bulking, but not bulking. We don't bulk or do any kind of dirty bulking inside of the divas. We are not dirty bulking divas. That sounds dirty in itself, but at the same time, it's like kind of the same concept. You're eating calories to sustain that new weight, that maintenance level of weight, and then we'll deficit from that and see if you're ready for it, ready for the loss. Does that make sense? And here's the thing that works with women over 40. This is consistent across the board. This has happened to every woman I've ever worked with. They want to go back to the deficit. Oh, but when you had me on, 1,800 calories, I lost. Yeah, but you're not losing any more. And so we need to add. And they always freak out like, oh my God, that's going to make it worse. So sometimes I will let them deficit just to show them that they're going to gain more weight. And they do. I don't know why it is. I don't know what happens exactly minus the adaptation. But their bodies just go into storage and they start storing fat, especially around the middle. And then they come to me and they say, well, let's add calories back. I feel like we need to add calories back. So we do. And they do eventually lose again, because the way that the metabolic adaptation works is that it's going to rise to the occasion. It's going to adapt to what you give it. And so if you're giving it more food, which is good food, I'm not saying go get Little Debbie's. Get food. Go get chicken. Go get broccoli. Go get food, actual food. That is going to make a big difference in how your body adjusts to what you're giving it. Make sure that you're doing the clean parts of food and don't go get a bunch of Snickers and stuff like that. I'm not saying you can't have Snickers, and I'm not saying you can't have Little Debbie's, but that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually nutrient dense food. Okay. You step back into that deficit. You really do a lot stronger if you do it that way. That was a really long version of that, so my bad. Muscle loss is inevitable if you're dieting without strength training. And so part of that study that I read was 25 to 40% of the weight that you lose if you are dieting without strength training is muscle. So if almost half of what you lose, almost half, if it's 40% of what you lose is muscle, guess what you've lost? You have lost metabolism. There is a diet program, which I will not name because I don't want to get sued or anything, but there's a diet program out there where you get little bars and little brownies and you eat like, meals about this big, and then you eat a whole bunch of protein at night and lettuce and all this different stuff, greens, those sorts of things at night, and you do lose weight. It's about 800 calories that you're consuming by the end of the day. And they do lose weight. 40% of it's muscle. Every client I've ever had on that program gains weight back. Ozempic has a big danger zone for that. Ozempic is known to tear muscle off of people because of what it does. My sister-in-law was here with us this last weekend, and she's lost weight a fairly natural way. For the most part, she just really worked on portion control, but she did try Ozempic first, and she said she's never been sicker in her life. She lost 20 pounds in 4 weeks. And she went to the doctor and said, I am not going to stay on this because it made her so ill all the time. She wasn't enjoying anything about life. She wasn't enjoying the smell of coffee. She wasn't enjoying food ever at all. And food is a big part of life. Food needs to be enjoyed. It should be enjoyed. It should be relished. And she wasn't even able to do that. So she told her doctor, I'm going off of it. And she was like, not only did I gain back the 20 pounds in 4 weeks, I gained back 32. So now she's on a yo-yo because her body has adapted. And so when you do a big extreme diet, half of that could be muscle. With that muscle goes your metabolism. Less muscle equals fewer calories burned at rest. With more muscle in my body, just sitting here chatting with you, I'm burning calories. With less muscle, I'm just getting chunky. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's like selling the engine parts in your car to make it lighter. And then you're like, wow, my car doesn't really go anymore. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. So just remember that as you walk through your dieting, we don't want to lose muscle. So make sure you add strength training to any kind of new nutrition program that, even if it's not with me, any new nutrition program, you are adding strength training to. Okay. Cortisol. Whoo, buddy. Let's talk about hormones and stress. We talk about cortisol almost every week in here, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is. We're going to talk about it with sleep today. Because when I did have the privilege, when I went to a conference with other coaches in Kelowna, coaches from all over the world, amazing coaches, Fitness Unicorn, Katie Lifts, if you know them, they are some big names out there that help coach women. Justin Klein, they're all really good friends of mine. And one of the biggest things that we all talk about is how do we get clients to get better sleep? What are the supplements that you are having your clients take? We talk about that a lot because when they undersleep, we have massive problems with cortisol. The other thing was one of the clients, or one of the coaches I got to know, Coach Parveen, she's a cardiac nurse. And so Parveen was telling me that, I think it's called SVP. My brain is slipping on what it's called, but it's where your heart just pity, and you have like massive racing heart. Very common in women with menopause. Like, I've got this racing heart. Well, they want to do an ablation on your heart. And Parveen was telling me, she was like, not that you don't do the ablation, because she said sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But she said sleep. Straight up, sleep. If you miss sleep because of stress, because of whatever, it will literally cause your heart to fluctuate and race. And so when you are underslept, overtrained, and constantly stressed, come on now. High cortisol tells your body to hold on to water and store fat all the time, every time. Why? Because it's in survival mode. It is. And it's also going to trigger hunger. It's going to trigger ghrelin. It's going to push your leptin down, which is your hunger hormone, suppress your hunger satiety hormone. And then add in changes. Now we've got changes. Estrogen, thyroid, whatever's happening to you if you're over 40. And then what leptin after 40 is, if you're not chewing meat, actual meat, if you're not chewing food, like raw veggies that are chewy, it's going to be harder for your leptin to activate. You do have to actually chew in order for leptin to activate. So over 40, it's a little harder to activate. I don't know if we just get tired of chewing, but sometimes I just don't want to chew. I told David, he brought me a wrap and I was like, I don't want to chew that. I'm so tired of chewing food by Friday. But honestly, I know I should be chewing food because, food that actually has a little bit of chew to it is going to activate the leptin. And when you are over 40, it just, it can be less. It's not necessarily less, but if you're already storing fat, heck yeah, your leptin's low. The scale can look stuck even if fat loss is still happening underneath if your cortisol is high, period. And in that sense, you do have to realize that if you have a high stress situation that you can't avoid, once that high stress situation is over, the scale's probably going to go back down again or start traveling back down. I'll give you a really good example of that. I have got a client whose daughter was getting married. Her name is Stacy, and Stacy is she's in pretty good shape now. I would say she's done such a great job with my program. And when I first got her, she was so atrophied. She just did not have any muscle left on her body. She had a really, really bad posture and a pot belly, really is what has happened. We've built her muscle back up. She's got a beautiful back. Her posture is so much better. I think she's actually taller. I keep telling her to get measured because she's not hunching over nearly as much. And her belly, 100% gone. In fact, today when I was measuring her, I was like, you need new pants. Because they literally, it's like before on her back, she had like this much of her back showing. Now there's literally, the pants have grown. It's the same little workout pants. And they've grown past the top of the bra or the bottom of the bra because she's just lost size. She's lost volume. But when she was getting ready for this wedding, guess what wasn't happening? She wasn't necessarily dropping on the scale. I was watching fat shrink off of her, but once the wedding was done, she dropped right back down. And it's part of letting go of that stress. So know that when you are walking through stress, the scale can look stuck even if fat loss is still happening. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Make sure you get plenty of sleep and handle your stress. I mean, it's so hard to tell somebody to handle their stress because it's not hard to tell them that, but it's hard. It's hard to deal with it. And the response is going to be like, oh yeah, like I can do that. Yes, you can, and you're going to have to. When you are over 40, put on your big girl panties and frickin' handle your stress. If you have people in your world that are stressing you out, be okay with stepping away from them. I've had to step away from situations that were holding me back, and I didn't realize it, but a lot of it was just toxic, and I didn't realize how toxic it was until I stepped away. And then I realized, holy crap, I was so stressed out, and I just didn't even really realize it. And let's be honest. Let's just be honest. We're just going to be truthful here. Sometimes it's not adaptation. It's little leaks. And it's the bites. It's the licks. It's the tastes that don't make it into your tracker. Like my clients track in my app, but also MyFitnessPal, whatever it is that you're using to track. The wine glass that magically got a little fuller or that magically got refilled. Or the weekends where you're good until Saturday night. And then those leaks add up. They can keep you exactly where you are. So be really honest with yourself. It's, one thing with clients, when I do sit down with them, I can tell the ones that aren't being honest with me because you can just tell. You can kind of tell. I think you're a good coach when you can tell people are lying to you. And I try to give them the opportunity to come clean with what's going on. And a lot of times it's wine. A lot of times with my ladies, it's wine because it's just something that women over 40 do. They drink a glass of wine. And it's like, okay, one glass of wine a week is great. How many are you having? If you're having 2 and 3 bottles of wine a week, that's a lot of calories. That's really, really adding up on and probably pulling you out of your deficit altogether. And it's also going to mess with your metabolism. So you just need to be truthful about that, mostly with yourself, because the one person that you don't want to lie to is you. If you start lying to you, you're going to have a hard time rebuilding that trust back, just like you would with any other human being in your space. All right, what do you do with a plateau? Here's your tactical diva guide. We do something called a refeed or a diet break. So that's going to be giving your body a bump in calories. I did that with a client today. We bumped her calories, not a lot, like 50, 60 calories, especially in carbs. And that's what we did. We shifted her over to more of a balanced plan rather than a carb cycling. So she's got quite a bit of fruit on her plan. This can reset hormones like leptin. This can reset thyroid. This can refill muscle glycogen, and it can give your metabolism a nudge. It's kind of like throwing logs back on a fire to keep it rolling, okay? The other thing that you have to do is prioritize your strength training with progression. So you're really intentional with every single strength training workout. Lifting weights is a non-negotiable. Lifting weights is a non-negotiable. But making sure that you are pushing yourself, not just lifting, but progressively overloading your muscles, adding reps, adding weight over time. Those compound moves like squats, like deadlifts, like presses and rows, those should be your bread and butter, but you should be making them harder and harder as you go. Not so crazy. I mean, I don't want you trying to do a 500-pound deadlift, but if your deadlift is 80 pounds, maybe bump it up to 85 or bump it up to 90. Remember, your muscle is a metabolic savings account. It's a metabolic savings account. So the more you have, the more calories you're going to burn. The more money you have, the more the more secure you are. That's true for your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the more secure your metabolism is. Also, protein is your anchor. We talk about this over and over, but are you actually implementing 25 to 30 grams of protein at meal and eating 5 to 6 meals at every meal and then eating 5 to 6 meals a day? Are you doing that? Are you actually anchoring that into your world? Are you trying, to make sure that you are paying attention to what is going in, that it's enough, and that you're getting that throughout the entire day? Are you paying attention to that? Without protein, you're going to burn off the wrong tissue, period. End of story. Protein preserves your muscle mass while you lose fat. And we don't want to burn off muscle. We want to keep muscle. Muscle is our friend. It makes us feel better. You have a lot more energy with muscle. And it also is going to keep your metabolism revving. Part of feeling better with muscle. Cardio is important because we need to do cardio for our heart. We need to do cardio for our lungs. When you're a diva, which means you're over 40, you are doing like 2 to 3 days of cardio, 20 to 30 minutes at a time, no more than 30 minutes. And you want to change it up. It's not more cardio. It's what you're doing. Try intervals, try incline walking, try shorter, kind of more intentional sessions. Cardio is a tool. It is not the driver. It will not help you lose weight. It's going to keep our heart and lungs healthy, and it is going to burn calories in the moment. When you're done with cardio, you're no longer burning calories unless you have built up enough muscle. And then, just like I said, audit your tracking. Be brutally honest. Those extra nibbles, those weekend splurges, those count. A plateau is time to tighten up your awareness because you don't want to slash calories any further, and you want to make sure you're being honest with what's going on. If you are truly plateauing, what is happening? Like, what is really, really going on, And I can't say this enough about the sleep. We just talked about that, but you cannot burn in fight or flight. You can't burn fat. It won't happen if you're constantly stressed. It won't. Sleep is fat loss. Did you know that? That's when it happens. Stress management is fat loss. That's when it happens. If you're only sleeping 5 hours and running on cortisol, your body going to hold on to everything. And you're going to be like, dang it, because you're going to have a chubby belly. And then you're going to sign up for coaching, and I'm going to help you understand why that's happening. But here's what I want you to take away. A plateau is not punishment, it's feedback. It's very important feedback. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean it's not working. It's just feedback. It's your body saying, I've adjusted. Now what you got from me, okay? So think about healing a cut. Think about healing a cut. At first, everything's happening fast. It looks like nothing's really changing, but under the surface, tissue's repairing, and it just lasts. You'll have that little scab on top forever, right? But underneath, the blood vessels are growing, nerves are reconnecting, healing's happening, but you can't see it yet. Even when the scab falls off, you can see that the healing has happened. There's still healing that's going to happen. You'll have like a little bit of a swollen area depending on the cut. Or if you have knee surgery, or if you have shoulder surgery, the swelling is there to let you know healing is still happening. Sometimes that's what happens with a plateau. We're healing from the inside out. It's not wasted time. It's literally the opportunity to build the habits to keep the weight off long term. So do not panic if you are in a plateau. Don't quit. Do not slash your calories. Do not go get on Ozempic, or don't spend 2 hours a day on the treadmill. I just don't want you to throw in the towel. I don't. Instead, feed your body enough protein and calories to fuel muscle. Strength train with your progressions. Manage your stress, manage your sleep. Be honest with your tracking and use strategic refeeds when you need to. Do that and the plateau will break. It always does. It always does. You are not broken. You are not stuck forever. You are just simply in the middle of a process. And if you need help specifically and you are looking for a coach, reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Danya Powers EC. I'm on Facebook as Danya Powers. And I would love to chat with you. Make sure that you subscribe to this podcast for more value. Until next time, stay strong, stay consistent, and stay fabulous, my divas.
Thanks for tuning into this latest episode of the Diva Deets. If this helped you and you found it valuable, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Ready for more support? Join my free Facebook community or join my coaching community. The details are in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay strong, stay consistent, and stay fabulous, my divas.